Title: Confessions from the Last Bullet. A detective's truth after 40 years. 40 years ago, a single bullet left the barrel of my gun, and it never stopped echoing. I wore the badge. I carried the weight of justice. But that night, I learned the truth doesn't always survive the report. This is not just another crime story. This is my confession. Because sometimes the most dangerous secrets don't belong to criminals. They belong to us. If you believe every bullet carries a story, stay with me. By the end, you'll understand why this case haunted me for 4 decades and why silence was the real killer. The call that changed everything. It was November 12th, 1978. The city of Denver was beginning to feel winter's bite, the air sharp with frost. The mountains loomed in the distance, capped with snow like silent witnesses to everything below. I was 39 years old then, already seasoned as a homicide detective, but still hungry, still stubborn enough to believe I could fix every broken thing in this world. The call came in just after 2 a.m. Shots fired. Corner of Larimer and 22nd. Possible homicide. Larimer Street back then was a different beast from what you see today. No trendy bars, no coffee shops with hipsters typing on laptops. It was rough. Bars with sticky floors, men with broken dreams, women chasing escape in a glass of whiskey. When I arrived, the red and blue lights painted the walls like some cruel carnival. A body lay sprawled in the alley beside a dive bar called the Blue Lantern. Male, late 20s, leather jacket soaked with blood, a gun still near his hand. But what caught my eye wasn't the victim. It was the bullet hole in the wall behind him, perfectly round, lodged at chest height. A bullet fired clean and deliberate. Gang hit? My partner Raymond asked, crouching beside the body. Maybe, I said, but this looks personal. The bartender swore he hadn't seen anything. The locals kept their mouths shut. One thing was clear. This wasn't just another drunk fight. This was a message, and it was my job to read it. A city on edge. The late 70s were turbulent in Denver. Organized crime had crept into the city like a shadow. Bookies, loan sharks, and drug runners carving up neighborhoods block by block. The victim's name was Danny Navarro. He wasn't just some random guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was connected, low-level runner for the Castellano crime family. The Castellanos were new blood in Denver, but they were vicious. They didn't just compete with local gangs, they wiped them out. Within days, rumors spread. Danny had been skimming money from his own crew. Others whispered he had dirt on a cop. That's when I felt the city's heartbeat change. People weren't just afraid of criminals anymore. They were afraid of who might be protecting them. I'd spent my life believing the badge meant something. But this case, it was the first time I felt the ground shift under me, and it was only the beginning. The suspects in shadows. 3 names surfaced fast. First, Victor Castellano, Danny's boss. Cold, ruthless, the kind of man who smiled while breaking fingers. If Danny betrayed him, Victor wouldn't hesitate to put him down. Second, Eddie Malone, small-time hustler and rival gang leader. He and Danny had history, fistfights, threats, debts unpaid. Third, Officer Mark Ridley, a Denver cop with a reputation dirtier than Larimer Street itself. More than one informant whispered Danny was threatening to expose Ridley's deals with the Castellanos. I wanted to believe Ridley's name didn't belong in the mix. Cops protect, they don't exploit. But the deeper I dug, the more the shadows grew. Witnesses clammed up, evidence disappeared from lockers, and more than once, suspects walked free without explanation. Raymond, my partner, kept telling me to let it go. You push too hard, Walt, and you'll end up buried next to Navarro. But letting go was never in my blood. The partner and the betrayal. Raymond and I had been partners for over a decade. We'd been through shootouts, standoffs, and backroom interrogations that tested every nerve we had. But this case changed him. I noticed small things at first. Evidence logs misplaced. Phone calls he took outside my earshot. And one night I caught him meeting quietly with none other than Officer Ridley in a diner parking lot. When I confronted him, Raymond brushed it off. Relax, Walt. We're all trying to survive in this city, survive. That word gnawed at me. Survival for me meant protecting the innocent. For Raymond, it was starting to look like protecting himself. That's when I realized this case wasn't just about Navarro. It was about the rot spreading inside the department itself. And that rot was closer than I wanted to admit. The last bullet. The night it happened still plays in my mind like a film I can't turn off. We tracked Eddie Malone to a warehouse near the rail yards. Word was he was ready to talk, ready to trade names for protection. When Raymond and I got there, the place was dark, only the sound of dripping pipes and scurrying rats. Then, gunfire. Bullets ripped through the air. Raymond dove for cover, shouting, "It's Malone!" But something felt wrong. The shots weren't coming from Malone's direction. They were coming from behind us. I saw a figure in the shadows, gun raised. Instinct took over. I fired. One shot, one bullet. The man fell instantly, his face catching the light. It wasn't Eddie Malone. It was Danny Navarro's younger brother, Miguel, barely 22 years old, unarmed. The silence after that shot still rings louder than the gunfire. Raymond grabbed my arm. "It's done. Don't ask questions," but questions were all I had. Aftermath and silence. The official report said Miguel Navarro had drawn a weapon, that he was part of the Castellano operation, that my bullet had saved my partner's life. The department gave me a commendation. Raymond slapped my back and told me to drink it away. But I knew. Miguel's hands were empty when he fell, his eyes wide with shock, not malice. From that day forward, I carried the weight of two deaths, the one I caused and the truth I buried. I stopped believing in the clean lines of justice, and slowly I stopped believing in myself. 40 years of haunting. Retirement doesn't erase ghosts, it amplifies them. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Miguel's face. Every time I drove past Larimer Street, I saw Danny's blood in the snow. I visited the Navarro family more than once. His mother never let me in, but his sister would stand on the porch, her eyes burning holes through me. She never said a word, she didn't have to. And Raymond, he climbed the ranks, retired with honors, and died 10 years ago with a hero's funeral. But heroes don't lie to protect themselves. Heroes don't feed corruption. For 40 years, I kept my silence. I told myself it was for the city's good, for the department's reputation, for my family's peace. But the truth, I was afraid. Afraid that if I told the truth, I would have to face what kind of man I really was. Confession in the twilight. Now I sit at this desk, an old man with nothing left to lose. My hands tremble as I write, but my mind is clear. Here is the truth. Miguel Navarro was unarmed. I killed him. My partner Raymond covered it up. And Officer Ridley, the real traitor, was never touched. I am not innocent. I am not the hero they painted me to be. This is not about clearing my conscience. It is about giving back the truth that was stolen. 40 years too late. Lessons etched in blood. What can you learn from an old detective's failures? Maybe more than from his victories. Corruption thrives in silence. Speak up, even when your voice shakes. The smallest choice can echo for decades. One bullet, one lie, one silence. Protecting truth is harder than pulling a trigger, but it matters more. Time does not forgive. It only deepens the wounds you refuse to face. My last bullet didn't just kill Miguel Navarro. It killed the man I thought I was. Don't make my mistake. Don't bury truth for the sake of comfort. Epilogue, the pulse of truth. And so, I leave you with this confession, not for pity, not for forgiveness, but for understanding. We all carry bullets inside us. Some are words we never spoke. Some are choices we regret. Some are truths we bury so deep we forget they're there. But they do not disappear. They rattle inside us until the day we face them, or the day they bury us. I am Walter Granger, once a detective, now just an old man who took too long to speak. If you've stayed with me through this story, don't let it end here. Take the lesson with you. Live in truth, even when it costs you, especially when it costs you. And if you believe in hearing stories that matter, stories that teach, stories that haunt and heal, then join me again here on the Pulse of Truth. Because sometimes the difference between a lie and the truth is just one last bullet. My lesson for you, all my fans today: 40 years, one bullet, and a lifetime of silence. If there's one truth I've learned, it's this: justice dies when we let fear bury it, and guilt, it never fades. Don't wait until your last breath to tell the truth. Don't wait until your last bullet to realize the damage you've done. This was my story, but the lesson, it belongs to you. If this confession moved you, subscribe to the Pulse of Truth, because every crime carries a story, and every story carries a lesson worth remembering. See you in my next post. Stay active.